Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, which is now back in action, starting with episode 199, and now we've just passed the 200 mark, and the Star Wars Timeline Gold, which will have a new edition in mid-October, finally, at 3,000 plus pages, and Cloud City Casino, Star Wars gaming podcast. It's perfectly in keeping with what we're looking at here. Bring you a look at another Imperial Assault, actually a wave of items here. These are not miniatures, these are the Imperial Assault Skirmish maps recently released. Basically, there's two modes to play the game, Skirmish and Campaign. Skirmish is more of a sort of quick battle type thing, and anytime you play Imperial Assault, whether you're talking Skirmish or Campaign, you have to build a map. You basically will have something, lots of stuff laid out this time, like this, where it says, hey, here's your map for this Skirmish mission, or side mission, or main mission for Campaign, whatever. Here's what map tiles you're going to need, and you put them together like a puzzle, which is what I've done here with the Coruscant landfill. You can see they kind of fit together here like puzzle pieces. It takes a little bit to put them together, especially since these guides, they'll tell you which pieces to use, but won't tell you which pieces go where. You have to visually spot that by looking at the map and the details that are presented there. So the idea is that in order to play Skirmish much faster, they provided us with the ability to buy, as they provided us with, the ability to buy for 25 bucks each these Skirmish maps that are basically 26 inches by 26 inches. Now, from a size comparison, you sort of see these here. I've sat one of these over here by one of the X-Wing mats. The X-Wing mats are 36 by 36, 3 feet by 3 feet. So these are smaller than an X-Wing map. If you look at, this is the bottom one here, the LCG playmat. The LCG playmat is a combination of the two. It is 36 by 26. And by comparison, I've laid them on here. That is significantly larger than even one of the largest of the Legendary or Legendary Encounters playmats. That's the Firefly one there that says Episode Deck, Crew Strikes, and all that. And significantly smaller, or excuse me, significantly bigger than a standard playmat for most collectible card games, or at least deck building card games, like the DC deck building game there. So these are not these teeny tiny, easy to roll up and store type of playmats. These are significantly larger, as is the LCG one, as are the X-Wing ones. 26 by 26. Now you might be wondering, okay, what is it that we get here? In each case, for 25 bucks, you're going to get one of these mats, and you're going to get 2 Skirmish mission cards, because every time you have a new Skirmish map presented, say within the paperwork for a new release, for an ally pack or villain pack, you're going to get 2 cards that give you the scenarios to play out, that are also going to have to lay out what pieces go where if there are tokens that need to be laid out on the board. So we have here 3 Skirmish maps, all of which existed in the game prior to being printed here as playmats. This is Training Ground. The Training Ground, reason I have it out here, is from the Stormtroopers Villain Pack. That's the one that came with the Villain Pack there. The little instruction thing does not come with the mat. You don't need it. What they've done is they basically just said, okay, well, here's your big map, all laid out, without all the little creases showing where the pieces would have come together, or the little notations on any of them telling which map tile it is, because it's all one image here. And then here's your guide like you would have on your instructions to tell you where the different bits and pieces go. And then in each case, for these maps, you got one side designed as the Imperial edge, the other side designed as the Rebel edge. So we have Training Ground that was initially from Wave 1 with the Stormtroopers. Then you've got the Nelvanian War Zone. This is one that was introduced in the Leia Rebel Commander Ally Pack, which went with the Return to Hoth large campaign expansion, and the $60 ones. Again, noticing that they are different images for Rebel and Imperial on each one. They do vary. It's not like the sides, the edges are uniform. And then we have Coruscant Landfill. Now you notice in this case, I've tried to give you a comparison. This is the map as built with the map tiles. If I scoot this thing up, we can sort of compare here. The one downside to this, it's very fast to just roll these out and play. You don't need to put anything together. They're convenient for carrying, and you don't have to carry a whole bunch of map tiles with you either, which is nice. So you can just very quickly whip one of these out as long as you and your opponent agree to play on Training Ground, Nilvanian Warzone, or Coruscant Landfill. Coruscant Landfill, by the way, is from Bantha Rider. Right, this is your Bantha Rider sheet over here from that villain pack. The downside is it's printed on rubber. So whereas the map tiles are nice and very crisp looking graphically, it's a bit blurry when you actually start looking at the way that it's printed on the rubber. It's a little tough to see here, but we're talking a significant decrease in clarity in terms of what you're seeing. Again, because it is printed on rubber. The rubber is great for these large images, but when it comes to small, fine detail, like, say, the little, landfill area here, it just doesn't work quite as well. Again, that's going to be a question you're going to have to ask yourself. Is it worth it to me to have the convenience of just whipping it out and playing with it, that I'll be able to deal with the fact that it's a little blurry? I won't care. I'm just worried about not carrying around all these pieces and having to take up all the time to put it together. Is it worth that $25 to me to have one of these? And yes, there are 3 of them, so it's $75 total if you try to get all 3. Now, beyond that, again, as I said, these do come with the cards to play the skirmish missions. So you have them in these clear tubes when you buy them. There's going to be a little thing on the front that tells what the name of it is, the little thing on the back that'll give you the details about it, and sandwiched between those at the very top of the tube packaging are your skirmish mission cards. Make sure you don't accidentally throw them out. So for Nilvanian Warzone, we have Fallout and Constant Motion. For Training Ground, we have Reprogrammed and Deception Game. For Coruscant Landfill, we have Lair of the Dianoga and One Man's Trash. Now I've sat the originals from Bantha Rider next to it. They are the same missions. The text is the same. The only differences here are that the text on these new skirmish map versions of the cards have darker text, and instead of saying underneath Bantha Rider or Stormtrooper or Leia Organa Rebel Commander, it simply says skirmish map on each one. So you know where your card actually came from, although it is otherwise, except for text boldness, effectively identical. So it's interesting. It's an interesting set. It's a nice option to be able to use these, but it's really, 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 I think, going to come down to how much you travel when trying to play skirmish versus how much you do it in a place where you would constantly have your stuff stored. Like for me, when I play, I tend to play here on these tables I've set up at home. So I've got my map tiles close at hand, and I'm not constantly lugging stuff around. So these aren't really as useful to me as they would be to a player who, say, is constantly going to a gaming shop, comic shop, whatever, in order to play. I do like the fact that they at least came with the skirmish mission cards. It would have been kind of weird if they hadn't. And they've got some nice-looking material here. It's just, maybe it's not going to be for everybody. So give it a chance, take a look at them, kind of analyze how you play skirmish for Imperial Assault, and make the call that way. Because for $25, this is a pretty heavy investment for something that in many ways may not be necessary for a casual player.